In a time when Israel was under oppression and fear gripped the land, a remarkable woman rose to guide the people. Deborah, a prophetess and judge, held authority in a society ruled by men and by the terror of iron chariots. The fate of an entire nation rested not on armies or weapons, but on her wisdom, her courage, and her unwavering trust in God. When darkness spread across the land and hope seemed almost lost, Deborah stepped forward, knowing the battle belonged to the Lord and that his hand was at work. After the death of Ehud, Israel had once again turned away from God, drifting into idolatry and worshiping the gods of the Canaanites, Baal, the storm god, and Asherah, goddess of fertility. The people believed these deities controlled the rains and the prosperity of their flocks and crops, but their devotion came at a terrible cost. In response, God allowed them to face the consequences of their disobedience. Israel was handed over to the oppression of Jabin, king of Canaan, who ruled from his stronghold in Hazor, a city fortified with mighty walls and powerful defenses. Sisera, Jabin's military commander, led a fearsome army with 900 iron chariots, vehicles that struck terror into the hearts of soldiers and farmers alike. For 20 long years, Israel labored under this harsh oppression, unable to defend themselves against such overwhelming military strength. Yet, even in despair, a faithful remnant cried out to God, praying for deliverance. Far to the south, in the hill country of Ephraim between Ramah and Bethel, Deborah judged Israel under a palm tree that would one day bear her name. People from across the land came to her for guidance, for counsel, and for judgment. Unlike most leaders of the time, Deborah held authority and influence as a woman in a male-dominated society. She was chosen by God to speak his words and to bring justice, and her wisdom and courage were evident to all who sought her guidance. One day, the word of the Lord came to Deborah with a plan for Israel's deliverance. She summoned Barak, son of Abinoam, from the tribe of Naphtali, who lived in Kedesh in the far north, and spoke with authority. "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, take 10,000 men from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun and lead them to Mount Tabor. I will lure Sisera and his chariots to the Kishon River and deliver him into your hands." Barak hesitated, knowing the danger. To face 900 iron chariots on open ground was almost suicidal. He replied, "If you go with me, I will go. But if you do not go, I will not go." Deborah agreed, but she warned him, "Certainly I will go with you, but the honor will not be yours. The Lord will give Sisera into the hands of a woman." Barak sent messengers throughout the hills and valleys, calling warriors from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun. Farmers left their fields, shepherds left their flocks, and men gathered whatever weapons they could find. On Mount Tabor, 10,000 Israelite soldiers assembled, with Deborah at their side, watching the dust rise from Sisera's advancing army. Confident in their iron chariots and military might, the Canaanite army advanced, expecting to crush the Israelites quickly. But God had other plans. The heavens opened, rain fell in torrents, and the once firm ground became thick, sucking mud. The Kishon River swelled with rainwater, sweeping debris along its path. Sisera's chariots, designed to strike fear and crush infantry, became trapped, their wheels stuck, their horses floundering. In the chaos, the Israelite soldiers pressed forward, striking with courage and precision. Panic spread through the Canaanite ranks, and Sisera abandoned his chariot, fleeing on foot toward the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, believing he would find safety there. Jael welcomed him, offering shelter and milk to drink. Exhausted, Sisera fell into a deep sleep. Quietly and decisively, Jael took a tent peg and a hammer, tools familiar to her as a tent-dwelling woman, and drove the peg through his temple, ending his life. When Barak arrived in pursuit, Jael revealed the fallen commander, fulfilling Deborah's prophecy that a woman would receive the honor of victory. With Sisera defeated, Israel's enemies were routed, and Jabin's power was broken. Israel enjoyed 40 years of peace, and Deborah's leadership had shown that God often works through those whom the world overlooks. Villagers, women, and ordinary people became instruments of deliverance, showing that courage and faith can accomplish what might seem impossible. Deborah's story carries lessons beyond the battlefield. Her strength flowed from her faith in God, her wisdom, and her courage. Barak's obedience, hesitant at first, was strengthened by her presence and guidance. Jael's decisive action demonstrated that God can use anyone, regardless of status or gender, to accomplish his purposes. Even today, the lessons remain clear. In every generation, God calls his people to trust him, even when the odds seem overwhelming. Challenges may not involve iron chariots, but pressures, fears, and battles are present in our lives, in schools, workplaces, families, and communities. Like Deborah, Barak, and Jael, we are called to step forward, to speak courage into our circumstances, and to act when God says, "Go." The same God who fought for Israel still fights for his people today. Our faithfulness, even in small acts, may become the instrument of deliverance, hope, and change. What seems impossible to us is never impossible for him, and just as God raised up Deborah, he continues to use ordinary people to bring about extraordinary outcomes.